Today I'm going to go over how to create a Stellaris portrait species mod. First step will be hit play. We're going to open the Paradox launcher. We're going to go to the all installed mods section. And then we're going to hit browse more mods. We're going to, or actually not browse more mods. We're going to hit upload mod. We're going to hit create a mod. And then go ahead and give a name of it. Like for me, it'll be like this. I'm gonna hit species. I would hit create. I already have a mod with the same name. I'm gonna hit X. Once you create it, go all the way down till you see your mod. And then hit the triple line or triple dots, show mod. Once you got that open, exit out of Stellaris' Paradox launcher. Go to your Steam or however. If you have Steam, it's just easier because you're going to have to browse to your directory for Stellaris as well. Once you browse, you have that open. That was too quick. Just like properties, installed files, browse. Once you have that open, it'll be like this. If you have Windows 11, you could drag them. Once you have your mod and this one open, your mod's going to look empty. It's just going to have a descriptor. Go ahead and copy my mod's folders to your mod. It'll be a common folder and a graphics folder. What these mods are, or these folders do, is portrait sets holds where your set of that group. So the category is, I'm not going to go over this for this mod, but I'm going to go over sets. Category is where it shows humanoids, mammals, etc., etc. Portrait sets is, hey, can I add this portrait group to humans? So if you made a new cool human set, it'll be in that human category. And this is what portrait sets is. So we're going to learn more about models from graphics. Graphics models where all your images are at, and your meshes and your animations. You store them in models. And then portraits is the text files of where the locations and how it's going to call those images. So first step is we're going to open up portraits real quick. Go to portraits again, portraits. We're going to open up human 01 portraits. So I'm going to open that one. Here's my variable. This is your custom variable. This is identity. This is where the mesh is. So this is going to call the mesh. So for this tutorial, we're not going to go over meshes of how to create them and how to make the animations for the mesh. We're just going to go over that you could use someone else's mesh real quick, like mine or Stellaris' mesh. You just got to match their texture. This right here is the close selector. And then this right here is, when it says attachment selector, it's for the hair. You see how the custom attachment label is hairstyle. So we got these. This is the greeting sound for your, if you want to change the variable for the sound, you'll change this to a Stellaris' one or your custom one. But for this mod, we're just going to talk about the identity, the clothes, and then the hair. So essentially, this is phenotype 1, this is phenotype 2, etc., etc. When we scroll down, this one's a long one. It's like 12 females phenotypes. So for example, 12. Like I said, entity, this is the mesh variable. This is your clothing variable. This is your hair variable. Here's the portrait groups. Here's human legacy. This one's replacing human legacy for my mod. So this one doesn't need a portrait set in the common folder. Portrait sets, like I said, it's going to add it. I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to hit play. When it loads, so remember graphics, portraits, this is holding the base. So normally the base will be either like a naked body, or for me, I just do the head because I don't need a body, because I'm gonna have a clothed layer that replaces that anyway, so why do I need it? And hair just goes over the top of the head, and we're set. So for example, this is what portrait groups. Okay, first, this is categories. So if I were to look at categories, the common folder, it'll be portrait categories. I'm not going to go over how to create those ones. It's real simple, but I'll do that with the next tutorial. And then portrait sets. Portrait sets is these. These are all portrait sets. So each one of these are portrait sets. Now if we go to graphics, models, portraits. Graphics, models, portraits. Look at the clothes. These are the clothes images. So essentially it should be, if I use the base of this one to here, it should tell me about 26 items. So I should see 26 clothing items for her, which I do. Same with hair, I have 15. So I would go to portraits, human 01 hair, and I'm looking for 15 for that phenotype. I do. I see 15, they all work. Go to 2 and so forth, has 17. Look at hair 2, and I see up to 17 and so forth. So I know my phenotypes are working and how to get those to work, right? And then what is color variant? So this is your base. Color variant is the base. So let's go ahead and go to graphics, portraits, and you see how I grabbed this one open. This one's open. I'm going ahead and grab a few more. I'm gonna grab models, portraits, or actually graphics, portraits, set selectors. We're gonna grab human 01, the clothes, and the hair 01. So I got these three. So like I said before, I'm gonna look at the female 01. This is your custom variable. Here's the mesh. We're not gonna go over it. Clothes selector. So the clothes, it's gonna go off of these set of clothes. This is the population. This is the setup of the species scope. So you essentially want to keep these ones all the same right here. These ones should be the same. And then when we're working on the set of clothes, this is population clothes. This is the leader clothes for commander actually. This is the leader scope, but this is for the commanders. This is the scientists. This is the officials. These are the admirals. They changed it to officials. And then now we have the leader scope. This will be like your rulers. So these ones are or statements. So if it has either one of these, it's going to be wearing these set of clothes. I keep all these three the same. I don't have any distinction towards them. But let's go over this variable. So this variable that you create needs to match this. So whatever you decide for here, put it right here. Same thing for hair. Right here. Needs to match right here. So long as that mesh has 3 layers, like how mine does, has the head, the hair, the body, you could use, you know, this as the head, the body, the hair. So essentially that's how you get that to work. Now let's look at the portrait groups. How I showed you how it's taken over human legacy, replaced it. Here are the phenotypes. So now we're going to call those phenotypes into those portraits. And how we call them is by this. So right here, we're going to add them. Now I don't want to see human set of the portrait. So how to do that is we're going to have to change it. And to change it where this is the final set of the portraits, we're adding set. That's where the set is. So we're going to add and then we're going to set it. This set means that we're overriding. Because we could just say add instead of set. See how this says add? So we're going to set this as the base. So whatever the human legacies was before, not anymore. So we're setting it going to be this. And since this is going to be the start of the species of the set, we're going to add additionally these to that set of species. But this is one that's not human or not male, and these ones are not female. So this has to be male, this has to be female, and so forth. And that's how you do portrait groups. It's that simple. So like I said, for the mesh texture, it has to be the same texture. So let's go ahead and look at that. Let's look at Stellaris' texture, for example. We're going to go to graphics. We're going to look at models. We're going to go to portraits. And we're going to look for humanoids or human. And for human, if you notice, they have their hairs, their styles, etc., etc. But if we look at their body, it's like this, right? So this is their legacy. So if we were to look at the new humans and look how they did their style, for example, let's just grab one. Their head's right here. So if you want to use their mesh, you just have to put your head exactly right here. The eyeballs, the color of the eye, etc. Because essentially this is going to be cut off. All this you're not going to see. You're not going to see any of this at all. Because the hair or the arm, the clothing piece is going to cover about all this. All that's going to be covered up. And that's how they do it. So long as you match their style and you use, I mean, you could change the hair to your mod if you want to use it. For example, see how their hair is? Now they use different resolutions for these. So it's going to be kind of hard to place it. So you just have to figure that one out. If you look at mine, example again, with model, portrait, close, I have it real simple. It's 512 by 512. So if you match that and line it well, then you could use it as easy. This is 512 by 512, so there's no movement of the mesh animation to place these head pieces for the hair. Same with the head. It's 512 by 512, for example. Essentially about this much is being used, while there's the clothing would be something like this. And then you got the hair that comes up right here, or however it's going to go. So this is essentially the head base. This will be the top layer. This will be the lowest layer. And then this will be the second, or you would say mid layer. So that way this will be on top and this will be lower. You could do it vice versa, making the hair number 3 if you wanted the hair to go on top of the clothing. I essentially don't do that. It's more harder to get perfection of this. I usually just put the hair behind the armor or whatever piece this is, and it's just easier for me to do. Now, it's the same thing with the male side of it. So however you want to use the meshes, the mesh is going to have that already set up for you. Just like that, the body, the neck, and then the hair. So all that's already set. If you want to use mine, for example, it's just 512 by 512. Same thing, 512 by 512. We don't have to do any fancy, guessing of where the head's going to be. Everything's going to line out if you use 512 by 512 with my mod for the meshes. Same thing, one of the elves got replaced. So one's added and one's replacing something. And then if I were to go to Mammalians, I replaced one right there to show you that you could change it from Mammalians with her, the vampires, or pale women or something, pale race, I don't know. So you got that. That's essentially how you would create your mod. So essentially, that's pretty much it. Just remember portrait sets where you add them. And all we have to do is very simple, is add that portrait groups to that set. So we could set a class. Hum is for humans, and this will just work. Same thing with humans. This one will go off of humans, human, and that's it. That's how you would add it. If you don't know which directory or whatnot where this human set is, you could also go to Stellaris, go to common folder, and then we want to look at portrait category. And the 00 social classes. Oops, I went pop. Would be the 00 portrait categories. We'll open that up. And we're going to look for what race you want, right? So I want to look for a humanoids category right here. They named it as hum, the sets. These are all sets that will work. So you got humans right here. So if I make my custom portraits, they're going to be tied right here to humans. Because humans is already in there. All we're doing is adding this to that set. And it's already tied to that humanoids. So we're all set. If I wanted machines and so forth, I would do the same. I would use this set name. Reptilians, I would use the same. I would put it in reptilians. If I want to make cybernetic reptilians, I would put it right here, and so forth for the sets. So here's the species sets. I would change this to this. And then if I wanted, I could still use the species class hum in reptilians. It doesn't matter. It's just putting them into that category. So go ahead and learn more about that situation for where you want to place your mod, your portrait set into. So you could also look at portrait sets, but to get the bigger diagram would be from portrait categories. That's essentially it. Just take my template and use it. It'll just be much easier for you to get where you want to go. If you want to make clothing, headpiece, etc., etc., you don't have to build upon my mod or anything. Just use it as the base template to create your mod, and this will speed up the process by maybe a couple of days. So good luck.